Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Gabi Titerlea.
Hello everyone, my name is Gabriel, as George said, and I'm working on web applications in Syncrosoft. Web applications such as Content Fusion and Web Author. Today, I wanted to talk about how subject matter experts work together using Content Fusion to collaborate when performing documentation review. So technical writers usually write documentation using specialized tools such as Oxygen XML editor, and they retrieve that content and store it back on a CMS, perhaps on GitHub. And if a subject matter expert needs to perform a review on the written documentation, they have a difficult time doing that because they would have to install this specialized tool themselves. Perhaps they would have to know the directory structure of the documentation. So this is where Content Fusion comes in. Content Fusion is used by technical writers and by subject matter experts, by reviewers together. Technical writers create review tasks with only a set of files that need to be reviewed without sending the entire documentation. And the subject matter experts don't need to know XML or to have a tool installed. They can just follow a link and contribute to their review. So I'd like to show you what this looks like by playing the role of the technical writer first. I have here a documentation project that contains multiple files, and I would like to send for review only a few of them. So to do that, I can add them to a review task, but only these files, and I'll make the review task on my own Content Fusion server. I'll connect Content Fusion to my Oxygen XML editor, and I'll name my review task here. And you can notice that Oxygen automatically detected that my project uses a data map as a context and attached it to the review. However, the reviewers won't see the data map context, but they will see the keys being resolved in Content Fusion as needed. Okay, and now that the review task is available in Content Fusion, I can, as the owner of the task, I can choose whether reviewers can collaborate concurrently, and I want them to. I can enforce change tracking, but to see what each reviewer contributed. But that's not really necessary because Content Fusion also shows the full revision history even without track changes. So I'll disable enforce change tracking. As the task owner, I would like to collaborate, to communicate with my reviewers, to tell them what sections may need to be reviewed. So for example, I know that a certain reviewer knows about this section. Please see this section. I can add a comment for other reviewers to see. And perhaps this section is better suited for reviewer too. Please see this. If I want, I can contribute some content myself that other reviewers can content here, can accept or can reject, and I can add, I can also communicate with other reviewers by adding a message for the entire task instead of on only a certain file. A message on a task. And maybe I would like this file to, and let me show you also how the web author part of Content Fusion helps reviewers write content easily. For example, they can insert a list by typing minus space, and the list item is created for them. Or a new note can be inserted by typing note colon space, and you can see a note here. Okay, but I'll switch to the reviewer view now. Reviewer. Oh, I forgot to share this task. So the task owner can share the task via email, or you can add here collaborators using Oxygen Content Fusion itself. For now, let's visit this task. And as a reviewer, I can see messages added on the task, and I can also see the changes made by other collaborators. Even if they aren't performed with the change tracking. I can see here what the owner added to this task. And I can start by going through the files to see what I can contribute to, but I can search through comments, for example, to see files where I mentioned, files where my attention is required. So I see that in this file there are multiple change tracking and comments, but I can also see here that I mentioned, so I can focus only on the things that mention me. All right, I can maybe add a reply here. Looks fine, as is. And while I'm reviewing my content, some other reviewers can also interact with the task themselves. So for example, they could be accepting this content. Or making the text bold while I'm working here myself. This is the real-time editing feature. Once I'm done with my review, I can finalize. I can signal that by using the Finalize My Review button. All done. And as an owner, I can know when reviewers have finished their documents by using notifications. Here I have enabled a notification to tell me when new messages are added on review tasks owned by me. And the finalized review finalized review is a message. So once all reviewers have finished their documentation, I can go in Oxygen XML editor and get all the changes that were performed. I can either pick them one by one, or let Oxygen automatically merge the changes for me. So now I can apply these changes to my working copy, and I can push this to my content management system. And in all this flow, reviewers did not have to have a specialized tools installed. They only had to follow a link and use the interface to add their content. And I think that's about it with the presentation. If you have any questions. Yes.
Yes. When there was an option where you can set that if people simultaneously work on the same document, there's something happening behind it. Are the documents checked out and locked by one user, or is it trying to diff and combine them together?
The editing is performed in real time. Reviewers add the changes at the same time.
Okay. So it's really concurrent editing. You can have multiple users working exactly on the same model at the same time.
Without locking.
The other way is if you do not enable concurrent editing, then the document will be locked by the person that enters the document, and the others will see that it's read-only for them. And when it's released, the lock is released, then the other user will, or one of the other users that open the document will receive the lock. That was before adding concurrent editing, so now we have two options basically for the task, whether you want that to work, to have users work in the same time on the same document, like Google Docs or other tools that provide concurrent editing, or not. And also another comment is Content Fusion works with any type of XML document. So anything that you can open in Oxygen, or Oxygen Web Author, will also work in Content Fusion. It's not necessarily to be data or notebook or some, so TI documents work as well, or any XML documents. You will need, of course, the CSS to provide the visual rendering, because it's mainly a visual editor. Otherwise, any type of document will work.
I mean, basically, part of the functionality could be done with the Git plugin, for example, that you also provide, because you could synchronize the comments you make locally to your documents and share them via a Git server, but I certainly see this as more comfortable.
Of course, you can use also Git. That works as well. Git works also through the web author as well. So if you have, with the web author, you can directly edit a file from a Git repository like GitHub or GitLab or Bitbucket and commit directly on a branch or send a pull request if the server allows you for that. That also works with a web author. But even there we have concurrent editing, but it's you open the document on Git and you can create a concurrent session and share a link with others, but you are the owner and you are the only one that can commit in this case. While Fusion, it's a bit more relaxed. You can enter on a document. If somebody enters, you have a concurrent session. If not, you just edit the document alone and then that's it. So it's a bit more flexible and easier, I would say. Plus that the pull request part that you have with GitHub, it's resolved with these integrate changes where we have the three-way XML aware diff that really allows to integrate XML changes better than just a blind or text-based diff that will happen when a pull request. Although you can use our diff tool also for that if you want to resolve or integrate those changes easier and see what happens. Any other questions?
And if you want to try Content Fusion yourself, there's a demo at fusion.oxygenxml.com where you can play with these features yourself.
Yeah, and Oxygen includes, or it's very easy to install the Content Fusion connector plugin from the desktop version of Oxygen. And then by default offers fusion.oxygenxml.com as the server that you can work with. So you can connect to fusion.oxygenxml.com and play with it and see how it works for you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.